All right, you ready? We're gonna make you a star. 50 people are gonna see this. Alright, so we got kind of a different video today. I've got my nephew Bo here. He is going to be forging out his first knife. So we're going to talk through a design. He's looking for more of a survival style knife. We're going to do a simple handle construction because of time constraints. So we're going to do a 550 cord wrapped handle. But we're going to have him design it and forge it. I'm going to do the grinding and sharpening. And then we'll figure out how to tie up the paracord handle and send him home with the knife. So you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright. Alright, so this design is looking super slick. We're gonna expand it out, we're gonna refine some of these lines.
Yeah.
I'm gonna straighten out this part of the cutting edge where we're gonna do the serration. So Bo's got his design drawn up. We made some little refinements to it. We're going to get some steel in the forge. We're doing his blade out of 80 CRV2, and I'm going to be also forging a blade out of 5160 for my niece, who found a piece of deer antler and thought, hey, I should give this to Uncle David, and he can make a knife for me. So I thought that was super cool. So I'm going to forge out her knife alongside Bo and teach him how to forge a little bit, and he's going to forge out his knife. So we're going to get to it. We're going to get the steel in the forge. Alright, so we pretty much got my niece's knife to shape. The only thing is I need to put in a curve to the tang to kind of match this antler. And so I'm going to do that. And then other than that, I think we're pretty much good on that. We'll do the profiling on the grinder. And then we've got some more work to do on Bo's knife. So we're going to keep working on forging in those bevels and thinning out the material. We have survived a day of forging and drilling and grinding, and we have a knife that is ready to be heat treated, normalized first and then heat treated. I've never done serrations with my small wheel attachment, and Bo really wanted serrations. So we gave it a try, and we both had kind of a minor heart attack when I ground in the first serration and brought it way too high up the blade. So I think we can still kind of fix it. I think it's going to shrink down. I definitely got a good feel for it by the time I was like 3 or 4 serrations in. Unfortunately, I'd already kind of done the damage. But I think we're going to shrink that down a little bit as we grind those bevels in after heat treat. So I really don't think it's going to be that bad. We're also going to do a stone wash on this knife, so it'll kind of help hide the problem. But I think Bo's still cool with it, and otherwise he's got to come make another knife. So I'm cool with that too. So we're going to get this normalized. We're going to do 3 normalizing cycles. First one, we're going to bring it up to about 1650. Second one, we're going to bring it up to around 1500 degrees. Last one, we'll do about 1450, and then we'll quench also at about 1450. And I think we're ready to go. So I don't know. What do you think? You happy with your knife so far? Yeah?
Yeah.
You feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's get it heat treated.
Yeah.
Alright, I think this knife's looking pretty sweet. We got it up to a 220 grit finish, and then I hit it with the Scotch-Brite belt. I'm going to clean it up with soap and water, and then we're going to acid etch it in ferric chloride. Bo wants to do a stonewash finish, and I don't have a rock tumbler, so what I generally do for a stonewash finish is I put it in a tub with a bunch of rocks and shake it around. So I'm going to put Bo to work doing that after we acid etch it, and he's going to do the stonewash finish, and then in about 10 minutes we'll see what we got. We are in our mad dash. I have to take Bo home in like 26 minutes, and we still have to press the kydex sheath, and we still need to do the 550 cord wrapped handle. So Bo is untangling my mess of black 550 cord. He chose black over the green and the orange, and we're gonna do just a simple wrap where we tie a knot on each side, rotate between one side to the other. We're gonna get this tied up, and then I'm gonna press out the kydex sheath. I already started making some of the parts for it, so it should go together pretty quick, but we're gonna get right down to the wire, and hopefully we finish this thing before I have to take him home. Stropping is one of those things that a lot of people never do when they sharpen. They'll just use like a sharpening stone or something. But this, I tell you, is like what takes your blade from like pretty sharp to like hair popping sharp. All right, so you see that nice like polish on the edge?
Oh, yeah.
So shiny that is. All right, so let's.
Ooh.
We finished up the knife. We've got the sheath finished up. I have to get Bo home right now. So this turned into a little bit more of like one of those like one day build challenges. We were really scrambling at the end to get it together. And one little mistake I made, I forgot to tape the blade before I pressed the kydex. It's not so big of a deal because of the stone wash finish. You're not really going to see the wear on the surface finish, but still kind of a bummer when you're rushing like that. You make little mistakes. But all in all, I think it turned out pretty sweet. What do you think, Bo?
I think it's really cool.
Yeah? What did you think about the whole process? Was it what you expected?
I thought I just had to just hammer the whole time.
Yeah. Maybe a little more technical than you thought?
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Right on. Well, we'll send you home with a knife, and I will wrap up the rest of this video with the knife for my niece, and we'll get that handle set on in the antler. All right, now that we've got Bo's knife done, we've sent him home, we can slow down a little bit in the shop, and I can start working on this knife for my niece. It's already been heat treated and tempered. I've got the antler cut down to the piece I'm going to use. I'm going to have to cut off a section of the tang here. It's definitely too long for what I'm doing. But I'm also going to fit in a brass guard. I've got a 1-inch block bar, square bar of brass, and I'm probably going to cut this in half and do about a 1/2-inch guard. So it's just going to be a one-sided guard that comes down and stops your fingers from sliding up on the blade. I want to keep the weight down. So I'm going to cut this up. This guard and the antler rough fitted up. It's looking really nice. I think it's a perfect length. It wouldn't be great for me. It's about a 3.5 finger knife for me. But given that it's for my niece and she's got small hands, it's probably fit her perfect, and even give her a little bit of room to grow into it. So my next step is going to be to finish up the guard. I'm going to take it up to about a 220 grit belt and then hit it with a surface conditioning belt. That should give it a nice satin finish, and it shouldn't show off scratches too bad, since this knife is most certainly going to get kind of used and abused. I was fumbling around with this thing like crazy until I realized I could put it in one of these vices. This isn't really applying any kind of clamping pressure because I've got these pins anyway. It's really just holding it, and man, it makes it so much easier to try to clean off the excess epoxy that's squeezed out and stuff. what a build this turned out to be. I had an absolute blast forging Bo's first knife with him. I think he did an awesome job, and I think it's really cool as a bladesmith when I watch somebody for the first time kind of get involved and they don't really fully comprehend what all goes into a handmade knife. And you're usually like, I don't know, like a quarter of the way in, and it's like you can see their perspective start to change, where they're like, they become aware of how much more work still has to be done. And it's almost like they can't really fathom that you would do this over and over again. So it was really cool. He hung in there. He forged out a lot of that blade. I jumped in and helped him quite a bit, but at the end of the day, he did a lot of the work on it. He designed it, and I think we turned out a pretty cool blade. I was a little bummed that I forgot to tape up the blade before we made the sheath, but we ran out of time, had to get him out the door. So all in all, I think it's an awesome knife. And then Darla's knife, man, this is probably one of the coolest looking knives that I remember making with Antler. I mean, I just feel like the brass just looks super nice. The profile of the blade is just goes really great. It's a really small knife, but it feels functional. It feels like it's a knife you would carry with you all the time. So I think she's gonna be super stoked to get that. And I think the sheath is amazing. I love that it's got her name on it. I remember when I was a kid, I had a leather belt that I got at the rodeo one year, and it said David across. It was stamped on it. And I thought that was like the coolest thing in the world. You could have told me that was like $1,000 when I was a kid, and I'm like, yep, I believe it. So anyway, I think she's gonna think that that's a really cool Christmas present. I got it done just in time to get it off to her for Christmas. And that's gonna wrap up the build for this week. Next week, I'm gonna be making 2 chef's knives. One will be a traditional 8-inch chef's knife, and then the other will be a 6-inch camp chef knife, and it's actually for another YouTuber. So I will let you know who in the next video. If you are interested in having a knife made, you can reach out on my website, davidmoonforge.com, through the contact form, or you can send me a direct message on Instagram at davidmoonforge. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I really do appreciate it. I had a blast in this build, and I hope that Darla and Bo, you both enjoy these videos and you get to see what all went into your knives, and I hope you keep those knives and take care of them for the rest of your life. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next build.